Want to know how I used a FIPA or HIPAA compliant AI workflow to help an occupational therapist save 15 to 20 hours of lost time so she can help grow her business instead of wrestling with it? Hey, my name is Denny Daigle, and I'm founder of RideAlong.co, a tech AI consulting agency helping SMBs grow revenue and staff output using SaaS and AI systems, tools, and workflows, typically saving clients 15 hours a week of reinvestable time. Let me tell you about a conversation I had not that long ago with this occupational therapist, clinic owner who ended up becoming a client. She told me, we can't take on any more clients, and I'm looking at her schedule and they're not fully booked because the clinicians have availability, but they're using it for admin tasks. They could easily handle an extra 20 or 30 more clients if they got rid of this administration stuff they need to do. So I ask, why can't you take on more clients? And she says, because we're drowning in paperwork. My admin assistant and clinicians spend about 15 to 20 hours every single week just adjusting billing, making sure that they've filled out some reports. She's reading through session reports, pulling information from our clinic software, figuring out what's billable, creating invoices, tracking hours, chasing down clinicians who forgot to submit their reports. And she says they literally don't have the administrative capacity to handle more clients or clinicians. That's when it clicked for me. The bottleneck in her practice wasn't clinical capacity, it was administrative capacity. She had clinicians who could see more clients and wanted to see more clients, but the business couldn't handle more process, more billing. And here's the kicker. When I suggested using AI to automate this, she looked at me like I was crazy. We can't use AI, she says. We're a healthcare practice in Canada. Patients' information has to stay in Canada. It's not compliant for us to use AI, so we don't even touch it. And that's what I want to talk about today, because she's right to be cautious, but she's wrong that AI can't work for Canadian healthcare. Let me show you the system my team and I built for her practice that's now saving them between 15 and 20 hours per week, keeping them completely compliant with Canadian privacy laws, and giving them the capacity to grow their practice. Why are healthcare business owners so scared of AI? Because when you hear about AI, you hear about ChatGPT, maybe you hear about Claude, you hear about tools that everyone's using, and then someone tells you, oh, by the way, those are all American companies. If you put patient information into them, you're violating Canadian privacy laws. And they're not wrong. When you use ChatGPT or any cloud AI service, your data gets sent to servers in the United States. For regular businesses, that's fine. But for Canadian healthcare practices, that's a FIPA violation waiting to happen. Protected health information, PHI, patient names, session notes, treatment details, legally cannot leave Canadian borders. It's not a suggestion, it's the law. So healthcare owners hear AI, immediately they think compliance nightmare. But here's what nobody is telling you. The problem isn't AI. The problem is where the AI runs. If you send your data to ChatGPT in the US, that's not compliant. But if you run AI on your own servers in Canada, processing your data that never leaves Canadian soil, that's completely compliant. It's like the difference between mailing your patient's file to a company in California versus keeping them in locked filing cabinets in your Toronto office. Same information, but completely different compliance situation. And here's the other thing nobody talks about. Your staff are probably already using AI anyway. They're just doing it secretly on their phones, maybe because nobody's giving them the compliant way to do it. So the question isn't, should we use AI or not? The question is, how do we use AI in a way that's actually compliant and controlled? And let me show you how. So here's what my team and I built for this clinic. Everything runs on their own server. Technically, it's a virtual machine in Microsoft Azure. But here's the important part. It's in the Canadian region. That means that the physical servers, in this case, are in Toronto. The data never crosses the border. And on that server, we're running two pieces of software. First, N8N. That's a workflow automation software. Think of it like having a very organized assistant who follows the exact same process every single time. When a clinician uploads a session report, N8N knows exactly what to do with it. And second, and this is the key part for compliance, we're running AI locally on the same Canadian server using something called Olama in this case. This lets us use a powerful AI model like Llama without ever sending data to OpenAI or Google or any American company. The beauty of this setup is that it integrates with their existing clinic management system, where we're not replacing what they have already, we're adding automation on top of it. So the patient information lives on a Canadian server, gets processed by AI on the same Canadian server, pulls additional billing information from their clinic software when needed, and the results stays on that Canadian server. Nothing leaves Canada. Nothing goes to external AI services. You own and control the entire process. That's how you stay compliant. And I'll just give you a brief preview of the overall solution architecture that I've put in place for this. As I said, it's using an Azure system in Canada, and N8N is a self-hosted system that's hosted on a virtual machine. The AI is hosted on a server from Llama, so which means that everything is self-contained. And just a special note on N8N and how it's used. One thing that I discovered when I was thinking of, okay, N8N is the solution that I want to use for this client, I started thinking about the licensing around that, because it gets a little sticky, and if you're not careful, you could paint yourself into a corner. So for me as a consultant putting a system in place, I need to use a special license saying that here's an N8N system, and either I would have it and provide it as a service that requires one kind of license that's actually very expensive, or you can use a free edition, but you have to make sure that the business owner is the one that uses it, so that when they have it set up for internal business purposes, it's free to them. So the way that this is all set up that it works and it keeps everything compliant is that the business owner is the one that is paying for the infrastructure. They're also the ones that are registering to use the software that's on the system. I am simply providing the setup and putting the workflow together and making everything work right, providing the service, the tech support that's needed to run this, but it's the client and the client's credit card and everything that's actually paying for the system. That keeps everybody from a licensing point of view compliant. And the way that it's also set up is that I can have people from my team work on the system in Canada. Everything is using certificates, and it's a pretty elegant solution. And if this is something that you would like to know more about, how to actually do this, I'm always open to share this and help show people that this is possible for your company, for whatever you're doing. If you need to be data compliant and you want to do it in the safe way, making sure that you're using the technologies that you need, it is possible. We can go into these difficult areas that, quite frankly, a lot of people want to stay away from. So somebody has to go in there, and I would love to help you with that. So just check out my website, ridealong.co, which is us working together in a partnership to help use AI, leverage technology so that you can go further, grow, and use the staff that you have to do more and serve better. So I'd love to help you out with that. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but what does this actually do? What problem does it solve? Great question. Let me walk you through what the system does every single day for this clinic. All right, so here's how this actually works in practice. Every week, clinicians write session reports. That's normal. They have to document what they did with each client for clinical and legal reasons. They're writing these reports anyways. But what used to happen next was painful. The admin assistant would have to read through every single report, log into the clinic management software, pull client billing details, figure out what services were provided, and determine what's billable to insurance versus private pay, and also track the hours for each clinician, manually create invoices, double check that reports weren't missing, and chase down these clinicians who forgot to submit documentation. And all of this was taking 15 to 20 hours every single week because clinicians had to take the time to go back and see what report they missed, try to remember what they had done. And this was eating up really their whole Monday. And here's what happens now. Clinicians write the reports just like they always did. Nothing changes for them. If they forgot, they are reminded right away, so it's fresh in their mind. They upload the reports, and that's it. That's all they have to do. Behind the scenes, the local AI reads each report and extracts the key information like the client name, the date of service, type of service provided, duration, and all that stuff. Then the automation system connects to their clinic management software and pulls additional information it needs, like client billing details, insurance information, rate schedules, any special billing rules for that client. The system combines all of this information and automatically generates draft invoices that are ready for the assistant to review. It tracks billable hours for each clinician in real time, sends alerts if reports are missing. Hey, I saw that you worked on client X on Tuesday, but I haven't submitted a report yet. The admin assistant still reviews everything. We're not removing the human oversight, but instead of spending 15 to 20 hours reading reports, logging into the software, manually creating all these invoices, she spends 2 or 3 hours reviewing auto-generated drafts, handling exceptions, and the clinicians have everything that they need. And that's 15 hours per week freed up of the admin assistant plus the clinicians. So here's what the clinic owner was telling me, that she was contemplating maybe opening up another clinic or having other clinicians come in, and then does she have to get another admin assistant? So all of these things together really made sense to add AI to be able to grow her capacity if she wants to. Now, that's the real business impact. It's not just saving time. It's about removing the bottlenecks that was preventing the practice from growing. Okay, so let's talk about what this actually means for practice. Before the system, the administrative work was the constraint. The clinic had clinicians with availability, and they had demand for potential clients, but they couldn't take on more work because the back office couldn't keep up. And that's normal and super common. That's a really frustrating position to be in as a business owner. You're turning away revenue because of paperwork, essentially. After implementing the system, here is what changed. Now, the 15 to 20 hours per week that were going to manual billing admin are now available for other things. In this clinic's case, they have the ability to augment capacity so that they take on more clients at the clinic or opening up a new clinic, scaling essentially what they have. The system is essentially paid for by itself by enabling growth that wasn't possible before. And there's another impact that's harder to measure: staff satisfaction. Nobody goes into healthcare because they love doing billing paperwork. Your admin staff want to do meaningful work, not spend hours and hours a week reading reports, copying information between systems. Your clinicians want to focus on clients, not worry if they submitted a report or if the documentation is missing something and how the billing is going to work. When you automate the tedious stuff, people are just happier. Happy staff stay longer, which means you're not constantly training replacements, and that's peace of mind. It's worth something. This solution works well for certain types of practices. Let me tell you who it's perfect for and who it might not be. This is perfect for you if you're a small to medium practice, say 5 to 50 employees, and you're processing a lot of session reports or documentations every month. If your administrative work is preventing you from taking on more clients or growing your practice, this is exactly what you need. You're in physiotherapy, occupational therapy, counseling, chiropractic, dental practices, any practice where the clinicians have to write session notes, someone has to turn those into invoices. You already have a clinic management software that works, but you're doing too much of the manual work to bridge the gap between clinical documentation and billing. You're in Canada, you care about keeping patient data in Canada. This whole approach is built around Canadian compliance. And clearly, this could be applied to other countries where all the information needs to stay there. Now, this is not right for you if you're a solo practitioner, very small practice, you're only doing 20, 30 sessions per month. You probably don't have enough volume to justify this sort of automation. Maybe you're a large hospital, multi-location clinic, you need enterprise-level systems with more complexity than this, so you may need something more robust. Maybe you're already fully automated with a practice management system that you love. If you've already solved this problem, don't fix what isn't broken. So this is just good information maybe to qualify what you've already got in place. But if you're in that sweet spot, a growing practice that administratively constrained, where paperwork is still the bottleneck, preventing you from taking on more clients, this is worth a conversation. Here's what I'd suggest. Take a week, track how much time your team is spending on billing admin now. Not what you think it is, what it actually is. Track it honestly. If it's more than 10 hours a week, it's preventing you from growing. We should talk. So drop a comment below, send me a message, reach out through my website, ridealong.co. I'm happy to have a real conversation about your specific situation and whether it's something like this makes sense for your practice. And if you found this helpful, subscribe to the channel. I'm looking to do more videos like this on practical automation for small healthcare businesses, fintechs, or consultancies, or any service where you have to provide some advice, intelligence to your clients. There's a lot that can be done now with AI. This stuff is actually something that solves real problem that doesn't require a massive IT department. So thanks for watching. Remember, the businesses that grow in the next few years are going to be the ones that figure out how to use AI responsibly. You don't have to choose between innovation and compliance. You just need to do it thoughtfully. As always, we are all in this together. See you in the next one.